All right, YouTube, this is 2 Cent back with my 2 cents on OCTOPATH TRAVELER, and if you've heard through the grapevine a little bit, we are getting 2 units this week on a banner. Specifically, should have like their own banner like we normally used to have for new units, but it also should have a step-up banner featuring both of them. This could be pretty awesome if you're thinking about it in the way of, hey, maybe I can, get 1 or 2 of these units for 150 rubies. Well, I'm gonna just kind of go through their kits, talk about them, talk about why you might want to get them. But at the end of the day, I'm going to put a huge sort of warning on this banner as don't get baited too far into this. So stay tuned for the end of the video. All right, so let's get into it here. We got Steed. We've talked a little bit about him before in my kind of prediction video, and if you remember that, we talked about units that I thought might be coming to global in preparation for the next Arena Cup that we have, and I still believe that he is going to be very good for that, going to have the right elemental resistance here with that 20% light. And looking at his kit here, we're going to get access to some really nice things to have for a cleric, which is normally what we think of as a healing unit in a lot of cases. So we're going to get this full front row heal plus a regen. Beautiful skill to have. Obviously, that's what we've been utilizing Theo for. So we might be able to come in here, and if you didn't have Theo, be able to pick up Steed and kind of have that on your team. We're also going to get a full front row heal, which is really nice, just in case everybody needs to get a nice big old top off for something out there. So good to have access to both of these depending on the content that you're doing, as well as being able to reduce an enemy's magic reduce an enemy's magic defense by 20%. So I'm getting a little tongue-tied today. So normally I would edit that completely out, but here I am in post-production, and I just thought it would be interesting for you guys to see some of my bloopers sometimes. So let me know down below if you thought that was at least entertaining. So also with here, we're going to have a full front row, 15% magic up for your team. So you're really getting a little bit of debuff, a little bit of buffing, a nice little bit of healing, and then we're going to get access to some dark attacks here, which, aren't too shabby. Got a 2 times dark attack to kind of help there. And then also these passives are going to, at least elicit a little bit of damage on being hit by a physical attack. He has that chance to counter, and that counter has a chance to inflict bleed. And then he's got 30% up when attacking a bleeding enemy. So you kind of got that as a little bit of a synergy going on. I think he's going to find himself as a much better attacker down the road when we get access to the specials. And he's got that 1 dark single attack for 600 power. Obviously, that's going to come into play a lot more than his current role as a damage user now. All right, so how does Steed stack up against Millard, our only other 5-star cleric at the time? And I'm going to say I'm going to give the edge here to Steed. We're going to have a little bit more offensive power. We're going to have better utility with our heals by adding in regen. Millard does have access to that. His heals are 20% stronger, but it doesn't include regen, and the only way he can cast it is single target. Millard is going to have a little bit of an edge when we're coming to buffing there, especially when he unlocks his special of being able to put some light defense up while also healing at the same time. But we're not going to get any sort of extra firepower from him with his special. So I do think that Steed's going to just kind of overall probably be the little bit better unit out of these 2. Granted, if you're needing light damage, Millard's still going to be the way to go over Steed. But in this case, as a dark element user and a healer, he's going to edge out over Millard. All right, so now we're looking at our second unit that's supposed to be coming this week. That's going to be on a step-up banner combined. So we're going to have 2 5-star units here, and looking at Luminous. Once again, this was a unit that I predicted to be coming out before the next cup here, which is going to be about 20-ish days away from when I'm recording this. And we got some elemental resistance here of 20% lightning, 10% wind. And that's not why you're going to be looking for her in the arena here, is for the resistances. You're going to be looking for what her abilities can offer. So let's take a look at those. All right, and so right off the cuff here, we're going to have a 4 times axe, but it is a random target. So take that as you will. We still have a 3 times axe that is single target. I like having access to the 4 times axe, just because when you get to the point where you kind of get rid of, the kind of adds in a fight and you're just focusing on the boss, you can just switch to that nice 4 times axe to really bring down those shields. And a lot of times you're not really focusing on those shields until you bring them down anyway. And on top of that, we got the 3x axe, which is just about as good as anybody else has out there anyway. So I'm kind of in favor for that. I know some people don't like the random, but I just wanted to shout that out for a second, that it's you can work around it, especially while having access to a 3x as well. We also have 3x wind, and then we have a full front row heal and regen, very much, you know, sparking back to our Theo discussion from earlier. We have another unit here that's going to have access to the same sort of ability. So if you are missing out currently on Theo, I know a lot of us have talked about him probably being one of the best or most useful units, you know, I would say in the least the top 3, because of that, you know, ability to do a full front row heal and a regen. You know, it's just really useful to keep your team alive. So what's also kind of interesting here is, as a passive, just while in the back row, ally in the same row gets regen as well. So it's kind of able to help regen the target that she can't actually target with regen, right? This is one of the struggles when you have Theo, is you want to regen the whole front row, and then you're like, okay, well, I need to switch in who's behind him to use something for them. You know, then you can't do anything to heal them up. And you have to have another healer on the team to be able to take care of them, or to, you know, put a regen on them. Anyway, I've ran into that. I know anybody else who uses Theo has probably ran into that before. On this unit here, we don't have to worry about that quite as much, because they're going to get access to regen automatically by being in the same row with them. So that's going to be pretty nice there. There's also some other good things in here. Full front row remove and grant immunity to blind. Just in case you're running into a fight that has blind, this is a unit that has the utility to be able to, you know, take that away and grant immunity for the whole front row. We also have a wind AoE that can also inflict bleeding. So there's going to be some of these units that are kind of just floating around here that are going to have extra damage to bleeding units. You know, bleeding in general, you know, kind of takes, you know, their own like toll on the enemy. As far as super big usefulness or big damage numbers coming from it, probably not, but I do like that as just a little additive piece to things. So how does she stack up against Theo? Who's the better of the 2 units, since we, you know, only have these 2 to compare for 5-star apothecaries? I kind of want to give the edge to her. Theo's regen doesn't provide a heal on top of it, so if people are already low and you're wanting to, okay, I need to get heal out and regen, but there's still people attacking in the fight, which doesn't always happen because Theo's a little bit on the slower side, then he can't heal and you still have to wait for that regen to go off. So there is a little bit of piece there where it is nice to be able to have a heal plus a regen, so I do like that. Also, Theo's 3x attack is a random, and so obviously here we're going to have access to a, you know, a 3x attack that's just single target. So there is a piece of that there. What I do like about Theo's kit that we do not have offered here is he has a 2x axe that's an AoE. So when you are facing multiple enemies, or multiple enemies that are, you know, weak to at least the axe, he does have a little bit of an edge there. But ultimately, I think I'm going to give even the attacking sort of power over to Luminous over Theo. So we're looking at some slight upgrades here, but also a lot of it's going to be based off of element. So you're going to take whichever element that you're going to need for your particular fight, or if they're weak to axe, you're probably going to end up taking both. So it's less about which of these 2 units are better, and more about, hey, if you don't have one, or if you need to pull for both, I would say pull for this one, you know, first, if that's going to be the case. Now, after going over these units, I'm talking about how I think they're better than their counterparts, at least in part, and, you know, I'm talking about how they're going to be good for the next arena. So why am I saying that you need to be careful, don't be baited for this banner, is because we're not sure what is coming yet in this special area here in October. We're going to be getting these units probably on the 28th of this month, so just in a couple days, and within 2 weeks of that is when we're going to be getting this special that they've put on the board. What that is we don't know, you know, and so because of that, we're getting close enough that I'm saying, why don't we just wait until we're a little bit closer, wait until we do know. If you want to do the step 1 and step 2 on the banner, that is completely fine. That is probably what I will do as well. Because I think that's a good value. And this special, it could be a collab. It may have nothing to do with units. We just don't know. We need to get some more information to find out. But what I don't want to have happen is for you guys out there who have 900 gems or 1200 gems or whatever, to go in and just bust through this whole step up, and then a week and a half later or 2 weeks later, you're like, oh man, I really wish I would have had it for this here instead. So let's just kind of hold off a little bit on that, especially if you don't have, enough gems saved up to kind of, cushion yourself from whatever's coming. And then if you want to pull more later on, maybe when we kind of find out what's coming, that is completely fine. Anyway, that's been my 2 cents.